Hey, my Legion, how y'all doing today? Something appeared in my recommendation feed. I know it appeared in Howie Cast because when he does videos, he has like you can see sometimes the side of the screen is like recommended. The same thing was recommended on his and one on mine. But Warner Brothers live streaming a documentary about Superman, the amazing story of Superman. That's what they said on there, and it goes with things the way they are now. A lot of people are live streaming movies and stuff. Watch Mojo did La La Land, but I didn't feel like watching that. And then I know Nuclear Blast and Metal Blade have been live streaming. I know Nuclear Blast had a big like 3-4 hour thing of consciousness or metal videos and stuff. Really cool stuff. I think Metal Blade was doing something like that too. And some other people are doing like I guess see what Watch Mojo is doing because they are doing like live. We're gonna have people comment, but I'll cheat. I'll just watch the movie and not comment. Um, but no, I watched the Superman thing. I didn't know what year it was made. I found it was 2006. I was talking to Howard Cat. Howard Cat believed he saw it before. I'd never seen it. And when I talk about it, I just want to go as far as the movie goes. It goes to 2006. So I'll go up to when the origins to 2006, which was the movie Superman Returns came out. I'll tell you what I think about that. I don't want to go further. I mean, I just want to cover what the documentary covers. But I'll tell you my thoughts on Superman Returns. Oh, that reminded me. There was someone screwed up. They did a low budget video, and they said something. It's supposed to be a piece of erotica or something like that. It said this one person, and they said he spelled it wrong. He left on the R and said returns. I started laughing so bad in that. This is something different. It's too weird. Anyways, it starts out with the this one company way before DC started out. They had an idea for the Superman. I guess when they started, they had like it was science fiction. They started their own little tiny comic, and it was like this boy that was it was a bad guy, and then they decided wouldn't it be good to may do stuff for good. And it had Action Comics came out, and it had Superman. The Action Comics, I think that's probably the most iconic. Uh, I don't know if that's the most valuable comic book. The one with Superman introduces Superman. It was Action Comics 32, I think. Uh, and I will say, I think Superman's the most of all the comic book characters out there. I think Superman's still the most iconic of all time because that's I mean I love Batman, Spider Man, all I love all that, but I think Superman is still the most iconic. I didn't see all of his shows, especially in the '90s. Um, and it talks about the formation of that, and then DC Comics came after Detective Comics. I guess were real successful. Now Howard Cat's probably better at telling the history of this than I am. I mean, the documentary covers it really well, I think. And it talks about the Superman on the radio and the Superman programs. Those are pretty clever and stuff. I don't think I've ever heard any of the Superman programs on radio. I remember on the last live stream I did, and it was cool. Howie Cat was on there. Tag Key was on there, but she didn't like the comic book stuff. It's okay. And then Froster was on there, and Froster and Howie Cat, we were all talking about the radio stuff. I just let them talk. I mean, because that's why I have guests on there. Sometimes just have the guests on there and just let them talk. And then, Tagger left. I mean, but I mean, she could have listened to the comic book stuff. I don't want to say anything bad about her, but I mean, I do like her. But I mean, the whole big thing about the comics came out, and she left. And then Howie Cat came back. Actually, on that, well, Howie Cat said like the chat put him back. I don't know what happened. They have the control room in StreamYard. They have a. See, I'm going off Howie on the Stream Yards because it's the live stream goes across two platforms. It's YouTube and StreamYards. And I'm on StreamYards. That's why I don't always see the chat in YouTube because it won't show me the whole chat on StreamYards. That's why I'm glad I have the moderators there. And on StreamYards, I have like, my screen that I see, and I'll have like little pictures of people that are involved in chat. And I don't know if your icon came back or something like that. I clicked you back on, and you came back in the chat. And then we just finished up. We went up for another 2 hours. It was a 6-hour live stream. It was a great live stream. I loved it. Well, anyway, yeah, I think might be better talking about the history of that. But I think the documentary covers it really well. Talks about the radio broadcast. They said there were over like 2,000. That's a lot. And there's lots of other people. I mean, they had people doing all the commentary, like Gene Simmons was on there. And I'm glad. It's so cool. Gene Simmons loves Superman too. I think Superman is so iconic, I think people identify with him. And it's weird, whenever I was in school, people were like, DC sucks. Marvel's where it's at, and then they hated kids. I don't know, they didn't like Superman. They never talked about Superman. They never talked about Batman. They said, DC sucks. That's what my dad would read. But I love both DC and Marvel. I like the other comic books for the most part, too. And I did read Archie, too. Archie comics, too. And I love they used to have those little Archie digests you get for like $1 or so. And there was like 100 pages in there. Sometimes the comics were only 2-3 pages long. And it was like brain drain and stuff like that. But it was really entertaining stuff. Anyway, see, I'm getting off track again. This is like what John and I would do. We go off topic. It talks about the radio show, which, I mean, I'd never heard any of those episodes. Then it talks about the Max Fleischer cartoons. I think the very first time people could visualize Superman on the big screen. And people might, now some of this is my own opinion, might disagree with me, might agree with me, might disagree with me. I think the Max Fleischer, God damn, I can't get it. The Max Fleischer cartoons are probably the best representation of Superman. Because they're like in small, they're action packed, and they get right to the chase. You know what I mean? They have the villain and they have Superman, and they're a lot of fun, and they're bright, animated, lively. I think they're fantastic, and they said they even got nominated for Academy Award. I think those are wonderful. I love those, and I didn't see any of the Max Fleischer cartoons until I was in Germany. They used to have, when at the PX, they used to sell all these public domain cartoons, which I've only seen a handful of those. And they used to, that's when they had like videotapes meant to buy to collect. And a lot of those were cartoons as well. Oh, they had a ton of stuff, And I found out about Superman. I think the first one was, oh my God, was it I can't remember if it was the Mad Scientist, the one where the guy had a telescope, the Mad Scientist, and the Magnetic Telescope, I believe it was. And the one guy who created the robots that kidnapped Lois Lane, and they're meant to rob banks and stuff like that. Superman, I remember my friend, I'll never forget, he was laughing his ass off, because Superman grabbed the guy, and he just threw him in jail like that. It's really funny, and they show that clip in the movie. He thought that was hilarious. He just grabbed it and he threw him in there hard. And he laughed at that. But I think the Max Fleischer Superman cartoons are the best. I think they're the best representation of Superman. Like I said, some people might disagree with me, but I think it just cuts to the chase real quick. Also, what else? They talk about the movie Serial, which I never saw. And we were telling Froster on that live stream, and it was cool telling about that and like why TV stations used to sign off. It was fascinating, you know what I mean? And I think we started getting more people in the chat after Tagger left, after Tagger left. They had that, and they talked about some other stuff. A couple movies. I want to see that. I guess there was I want to see a Superman in a Mole Man. I've never seen that one. And they talk about, of course, about the TV show, which I loved. with George Reeves. I love that show, and it was so cool seeing like Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen on there talking and stuff. It was wonderful. And I think those had the best portrayals of. Um, well, I loved her as Lois Lane, but I love Margot Kidder as Lois Lane too. And Jimmy Olsen was great, and then Perry White. I love those kind of things. And then if you get a chance, what was it? The Treasury did a public service video. I think it was a film. I don't know if it was part of the TV series or it might have been, but it was in the public domain. It's Stamp Day for Superman. If you get a chance to see Stamp Day for Superman, it's very entertaining. I did buy that one. That was one that you were allowed to buy because it's public domain. At the time, I enjoyed that one. And sadly, they talk about a lot of things that happened at the time Superman, because Superman stretches all ages, and it talks about different things like the World War II, the Depression, and along with soon they actually talk about the mysterious death of George Reeves. They said he committed suicide, and that was sad too. They were going to bring him back, and then from there they went to. I think he said that they went to the Batman show from '66, which was wonderful. It was cool seeing Adam West in there. Now, I do love. I mean, when I say Superman is the most, I do love. Batman. Spider-Man, Hulk, Fantastic. I loved all of them. There are a lot of God. I wish. I'm not like Burgess Meredith. I wish I had more time to get involved in all that stuff. But this review is probably gonna be all over the place. But I mean, I have passion for that, and also the Vikings kicking them. I got that my sister sent me. I'm getting a buzz. But it helps my knee out. I mean, I wish it sucks that you go to the VA and they won't give you no pain pills no more. Said keep taking the naproxen. I need something stronger than that. What else? So after that, the TV show, and then talk about his passing, and then they go up to the movie, the big budget movie, and that was like groundbreaking with Christopher Reeve. And they talk about the casting stuff. And they said that they ended up picking Margot Kidder. And Margot Kidder was fantastic, really cool. Oh, they also talked about a Superman musical. I guess it was a Superman TV musical that was probably pretty bad on TV. I never saw it. And all the Superman spin-offs out of the show, I mean, people know me, know I'm weird. They know that I want to see Super Pup the most. I saw it, it's pretty bad, but I mean, it would have been cool if they did a Super Pup movie. Or if that became a real serial. I mean, a real TV show. And I guess the Superman musical TV show one day ago, I never saw it. And when the movie came out, the movie was larger than life. I remember seeing it for my birthday. See, I missed something already. I gotta go back to it. I saw it for my birthday, and I loved it. And that's when I got in a big fight with my mom. I don't want to say go rag on my mom too much now. She helped me out. She said that since you see that. So I thought I could see Flash Gordon the next year for my birthday. She said, "I'm not taking to see Flash Gordon. You have to get your dad to see it." Okay. Going back. They were talking. They had this guy that was the psychiatrist saying like pop culture and comic books in general were leading to the decline of West civilization, saying that comic books brings on juvenile delinquency. And there was subcommittees about that. When I heard about it, my dad and I got in the biggest fight. I told him there was, you never told me about that, that there was like they used to say comic books was the cause of juvenile delinquency from the government. They had sent a subcommittee. My dad laughed, they never did that. That never happened. I never heard of that. That never happened. Yeah, I did. I saw a video about it. I saw that's what they tell you. And so we got in a giant argument just about. My uncle said he never heard of it either. The movie guy, Uncle Wayne. Just like when I heard the correlation between the original Invasion of Body Snatchers and McCarthyism, I told Dad about that. That was a statement about communism. I said that was about aliens. That had nothing to do with anything. He just doesn't listen. And then also about what else was it? Film noir. He said I never heard of that. That doesn't exist. You grew up in that time, so I never heard of it. And my uncle, who's a big movie guy, said he never heard about it either. And then I remember we got in a fight about, I mean, stupid shit like this. And then we got in a big fight because I remember getting what was it, that one Aussie album that had Rock and Roll Rebel in it, the Bark of the Moon album. And then he did. I played Rock and Roll Rebel for my dad, and my dad said, all I heard was him say bullshit. And I said, they said that in that song. You're like, what song? Money. From Pink Floyd, they said he loved that song, Money Pink. He say bullshit. That's they do not. They do not. Yes, they do. He's just stubborn like that. He was always like that. Go on, I'm going off track. I should have taken the get him before doing this review. But no, this is gonna be a good review. Anyways, going back to the first Superman came out. And it was a colossal hit. But I mean, I was really floored. Mom said that she wanted to take me to see Flash going for my birthday. My birthday. I mean, I don't have to take me to see anything bad. And my dad took me to see that. Then Superman 2 came out, and I heard a lot of people saying Superman 2 was better than the first one. I didn't see Superman 2 in the theaters. I ended up seeing it on TV a few years later. And it was a great movie. And then they were talking about Richard Donner had such a bad experience for Superman 1 that he ended up leaving the project and leaving it up to someone else. And then Superman 3 came out. Some people didn't like Superman 3. Superman 3 is more comedic. But, I mean, Richard Pryor was in it. And it was supposed to show off Richard Pryor's genius. But, I mean, anyone who had a brain knows that he's a genius anyways. And I love Superman 3. I love that too. I mean, it's not as good as the first two. I mean, the first two are definitive Superman movies, and then it kind of goes downhill a little bit. But Superman 3 held a place in my personal history with movie watching. It is the very first movie I saw on a VCR and VHS tape. Cause I remember, Dad, we wanted to get a VCR. My dad's like, whenever I get enough money ahead. He said that about everything. Or he'll say we'll see, and a lot of times that never happened. Because I did a story about this, a video about this. See, I mean, a lot of Superman stuff revolves in my personal history. There's lots of stories behind the review of the Superman movie. And they're talking about, my dad said, Mace Electronics, look, I'm going to get this. For $108, they had a video disc player. And this is before the ones that look like a record. This is the ones in a cardboard sleeve. And they had a whole bunch of those you could rent right in the Mace Electronics. My dad bought that. And we rented a bunch of movies. We rented like Star Trek 2, Alvin the Pussycat, Alvin the Pussycat is the very first movie I saw because Mom wanted to see it, but it was a really good one. Godzilla, Rodan, Sharks and the Machine, Victor Victoria, the Twilight Zone, the movie. And what happened was we went to watch the movies, and it was the thing was a piece of crap. We did see the movie. Mom tried to load the movie. She broke it. You have to do it a certain way or it'll break. I tried doing Sharky Machine. It would have been the very first fully uncut R-rated movie I would have ever seen. Because I just seen the movie on TV before that, and it broke twice. We got one, and then my dad got another one that broke again. And the guy said, these are just junk. And my dad said he decided to spend the extra $40 and buy a VCR that had a wire remote. And it was good for him because whenever he got that VCR, I mean, they rented videotapes there. We rented Superman 3 and Kramer versus Kramer. A good feeling for him that he got that because like 2 weeks after he took that back, got the VCR, They no longer they got rid of all the video discs. They're in a cardboard sleeve. Not you had to download them, not the regular ones that look like a record. The old fashioned one RCA did when they wasted a lot. They spent a ton of money on that thing and it flopped. It would have been worthless in 2 weeks. It would have been worthless. So he did a good job in doing that. And I think it would only been if they would have kept those tapes. It was only limited to 100 tapes or so. So I'm glad we got the VCR. And it actually lasted till like '93 or '94, and we got done. It lasted 10 years. But I mean, it had a wire remote, a plugged-in wire remote. Well, anyways, that was the very first movie we saw on VHS. Was Superman 3. And then after that, of course, Superman 4: The Quest for Peace came out, and it had no fanfare whatsoever. I didn't know, no commercial or anything like that. I just remember it was played in Mill Creek 3, which is Mill Creek Mall. Inside used to have like 3 theaters, and it had. I just saw Superman: A Quest for Peace. It might just have like a thing saying Superman: Quest for Peace. It might have a little photo of him with like a thing with nuclear weapons. I remember the one critic reviewed it and said like he was trying to get rid of old nuclear weapons and gave it like a star and a half. And I finally, I didn't see it for the longest time because I wanted to see it. And I finally saw it in '91 in Fort Detrick, Maryland. And it's not a great movie, but I mean, it was, Cannon screwed it up. Cannon is the main reason. I mean, now I talked to John. John said he never saw it because he heard it was god awful. I've seen some really shitty movies in my time. And Superman 3 is not, I mean, Superman 4, it's okay. It's okay. I know a lot of people might disagree and say, all right, it sucks. It's okay. I mean, I would like to see what it was supposed to be like. That's what I want to see. Many Comedic Arts did a great movie about the making of Superman 4. Well, no, 10 Amazing Facts you didn't know about Superman 4. I thought I heard the water running. And it talks about, originally Warner Brothers, well, oh shit, I forgot to talk about, with Superman 3 not doing good, the Solkinds who owned the rights made Supergirl, which was a huge flop. And I heard Christopher Reeve didn't want to be in that movie at all. I saw Supergirl. Supergirl, it was okay. It was okay. I think it's about on par with Superman 4, so that's a high praise. Anyways, and then, like I said, Christopher Reeve, after Superman 3, Christopher Reeve wasn't really interested in doing another Superman movie. And he didn't want to be in Superman 4, and, Supergirl. And then whenever Cannon got the rights for Superman 4, they talked Christopher Reeve into being able to give him a right, let him write for the movie, and then they said that they would fund a pet project he wanted to do called Street Smart. Now, Street Smart is, and it's kind of ironic because I rented both Superman 4 and Street Smart when I was in Fort Detrick, Maryland, in '91, when I was still in the military. And the one interesting thing about Street Smart is that's the one that got Morgan Freeman's career really off the ground in movies and stuff. I mean, because you remember him from E.G. Reader on Electric Company. And Street Smart was a critically praised movie that got nominated for Academy Award. Morgan Freeman got nominated for Best Supporting Actor because he played a pimp in that movie. And now Street Smart was an R-rated film. And because they said he was typecast as Superman because I know he did Monsignor, which I never saw, and also Street Smart. And I was like, maybe the public didn't buy him being an R-rated movie after being the somewhat clean-cut Superman. But Superman 4, like I said, the company screwed it up because I love Cannon films. I love like Invasion USA. I know they were mad at Tobe Hooper because they gave him a ton of money to do Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. And he said, this is a comedy. So he made it into more of a comedic horror film. They were mad about that. Well, anyways, with Superman 4, Warner Brothers gave him a budget of $36 million. And what they did was they used that money for other movies, including the Masked He-Man movie that he did with Dolph Lundgren. And then they cut down the budget. Superman only had a budget of $17 million, and it shows. But that hurt the movie, and also what hurt the movie is they cut a lot of scenes out of the movie because they were trying to get enough stuff going. They were going to do a Spider-Man movie too. It never happened. They're trying to get enough stuff going to make Superman 5, which never happened. But there's lots of cut scenes in the movie that made it's nonsensical. They cut it. I mean, I guess there's original cut that's supposed to be 2 hours and 14 minutes, I think, and it was cut down to like 90 minutes. I would love seeing that version of the movie. It made sense because I didn't truly hate. The Superman 4 had a lot of potential, like him getting rid of nuclear weapons, or like having the fact that if Superman's all powerful, how come there's war in the world still? You know, they it brought up some good questions. It just wasn't executed that well. And there was cutscenes like Nuclear Man was the main villain, and and also Christopher Reeve brought a whole bunch of the people back that like Gene Hackman and Margot Kidder and stuff like that. And then he talked to he was on the fence about it. He talked about Chris Reeve talked to Sean Connery about the movie. And then Sean Connery said, well, pretty much just take the money and run. You know what I mean? But then they let him make his pet project, which flopped because they didn't promote it. And they didn't promote this movie, but it would have flopped anyways. And Gene Hackman created a character called Nuclear Man. And there was a scene cut out where there was like a comedic Nuclear Man created. And I think that was more supposed to be a nod to Bizarro, which is kind of neat too. But I mean, I think Superman. It's kind of tragic to think with Superman 4. See, I'm talking a lot about that. I mean, but it's still the weakest of the Superman movies. But I mean, it could have been a decent film. I think it's okay. You know what I mean? I mean, the biggest problem I had was just the editing. It was nonsensical. And then also with that, they had the premiere in England, where they had the royal family there, and they said, like I said, Meryl Hemingway's in the movie, and almost said Charles Band, Prince Charles kept flirting and talking to Meryl Hemingway, and Princess Diana was right there. And so it was kind of awkward. And then I think at the end of his video he says it's okay to enjoy bad. Hell yes, some bad movies are very enjoyable. Because John says like this movie's probably hard to be got off. I've seen some really bad movies, and the worst movie is a boring one. Night of Horror, about those guys out, and they experienced some ghosts, something like that. It was something about the Civil War they had to bury. That was so lousy. Well, anyways, back to the 90s. After Superman 4, he said that kids of today were thought he was too clean cut, and then they actually did the one thing that was in all the paper, the death of Superman, which is sad. I mean, I felt bad. I like Superman, and that got great press and stuff like that. And then they had like Saul Kynes were trying to go for a thing called The Adventures of Superboy, but I think I was in the Army. I never seen that one. And I never saw a lot of the stuff from the 90s. I never saw Lois and Clark. Because I was heard that ABC was saying it was a romantic comedy. I was like, I don't want to see that. But I heard it's supposed to be really good. I never saw Smallville either. I regret not seeing those. I never saw the early morning, Saturday morning cartoon in the 90s. I did remember I completely missed, I shouldn't have taken a Vicodin. I completely missed about Super Friends. I remember the Superman cartoon where Super Friends on a Hall of Justice. Meanwhile, in the Hall of Justice, I love that show. I watch that show all the time. Reruns and stuff. I mean, Batman, Aquaman. It was so cool seeing Aquaman finally a few years back visualized. It was cool. I like that. And then it goes on talking about the unfortunate events of 9/11. And Howard Cat actually dressed like when he met the KKK, and they didn't take his baby away. Howard Cat don't get that one. If he's still watching, Howard Cat probably think this is a horrible review. I'm just going all over the place because there's so much going on in my mind. That's why we go off the rails so much. On the crazy train with John and I doing the videos. But John helps corral me back. I'm just doing this free for myself, so I'm all over the place. And it ends up going to Superman Returns, 2006. And I thought, I mean, it said it was time to bring Superman back. And I thought the movie was good. I didn't see it right away when it came out. I saw it a few years after that. And I know my Uncle Wayne, when he was still alive, he was saying he saw it and he said it was pretty much a love story, and that was it. Well, I mean, it was more to it than that. I watched it, yeah, it kind of is a love story. I thought it was pretty good. The biggest problem I had was the the evil plan of Lex Luthor wouldn't work because he wanted to destroy the United States and make this continent where I wrote that right down. Where it was like the surface was embedded with kryptonite, and he made a place that was uninhabitable for anybody, and he was pretty much on a giant throne of shit, of nothing. And even he, I mean, I don't think it worked. That's the biggest problem I had with that movie. Aside from that, I liked it. And then after a while, like, he destroyed all the nice places he used to live in for just this whole huge throne of nothing. A place he couldn't live. He would have said probably got tired of that right away. Even Roger Ebert said that his plan wouldn't work. That's the biggest problem he had with the movie. But I thought it was okay. What did being there say? But I really enjoyed the Superman. I apologize for being all over the place in this one. I really liked that Superman movie. It was a lot of fun. The Superman documentary. I'm glad I saw it, and I hope you like this review. I give it a 10 out of 10. I went on off the rails on a crazy train talking about Superman 4. I think it needs to be defended somewhat. It's the weakest of the Superman movies, but the company screwed it up. If I would have loved, I'd love to see. The only thing I asked about Superman 4, I would love to have seen the 134-minute version of the movie that I could really give my opinion of. But as is, it's only okay, but not great at all. I would love to see that version of it because I've never seen it. It made no sense. Oh well. But I hope you like this video anyway. Until next time, please take care of my Legion. Hope you're doing okay, Howard. I hope you like my review of it too. I know I went all over the place. Yeah, being here said, please stay away from nasty people. Well, yeah, I know. Alright. I love you guys. Take care.